A fake news web article about Vice President Kamala Harris being involved in a hit and run that severely injured a child was disinformation from a Russia-linked troll farm. That's according to a new report by Microsoft, which investigated the site and the video of a young girl claiming that she had been paralyzed by the crash that happened in San Francisco 13 years earlier. The video was viewed nearly 3 million times and was on a website from San Francisco's KBSF TV, a news channel that actually doesn't exist. The website had been set up 1 week earlier and consisted of plagiarized news articles from several legitimate news outlets. It's the latest in what intelligence officials say is Russia attempting to interfere in the U.S. presidential election. Do want to talk more about this, so let's bring in Professor Darren Linvill, the co-director of the Watt Family Innovation Center Media Forensics Hub over at Clemson University. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us to help break all this down, as it is a topic that is, no question, making the rounds on social media.
Happy to be here, Josh. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Well, first off, I do want to talk a little bit about the situation in general, because this is being referred to as Russian disinformation. Is there a difference between disinformation and misinformation?
Yeah, absolutely there is. And you know, frankly, I don't love these words because they've become politicized over time. But at their core, they're still very simple. Misinformation is just information that's not true. Usually it's very often spread without any intention. We all say things that aren't true all the time and with the best of intentions. Disinformation, however, that's lies. That's lies that are purposefully spread, usually with some kind of political or financial gain in mind.
So the fake news website that was set up, it was a fake news organization that really does not exist, and it was viewed 3 million times, which sounds almost impossible to believe. It seems very elaborate. Is it easy for Russia and maybe other countries like China and Iran to make a website like this that does circulate among millions and millions of Americans?
Yes, absolutely. It's very easy. These actors, and as you suggest, it's not just Russia. We've recently identified a campaign, or Microsoft recently identified a campaign from Iran, and China does this as well. But they typically use off-the-shelf tools that many small business owners use to create websites. And hosting websites is increasingly inexpensive, and disseminating that information through, reliable or channels that they find to be reliable through social media and through their own state media is very easy for them, very inexpensive. And that's at its core why this is such a growing problem, because it's cheap to produce.
What is Russia's ultimate goal here? And I like to ask questions that have about 7 different parts to them. So how exactly could these websites, fake news websites, actually influence the U.S. election?
So these fake news websites are part of a campaign that our lab here at Clemson first publicly identified back in November, and Microsoft has subsequently dubbed Storm 1516. I think it's important to separate the tactics from the strategy here. Their tactics change a little bit from moment to moment. They had previously very much targeted conversations around Ukraine, trying to decrease support for the war in Ukraine from the West and make Ukraine appear corrupt. Recently, they've moved more and more to talk about conversations about the upcoming election, largely because that's also important from their perspective regarding the war in Ukraine. But long-term, their strategy is really just to divide us, to divide the West, and to make it appear to the Russian people that the West is corrupt and that democracy is dysfunctional, because it's that makes Putin's job easier. It's that fact, or those beliefs among his own people, that allow him to govern with much more of a free hand.
Are these fake news websites and really Russian misinformation or disinformation, are those just targeting the Democratic Party, Kamala Harris and Mike Walls, or are we actually, Tim Walls rather, are we actually seeing different fake news websites that are popping up against former President Trump as well?
Historically, the Russians have targeted both the left and the right fairly equally. They did that in both 2016 and 2020, trying to pull these sides farther and farther apart. The current campaign does seem to target right-leaning Americans and conservatives throughout the West more specifically, but we have seen Iran targeting left-leaning Americans and supporting Harris over Trump in their ongoing campaigns.
Are we seeing more of this election cycle than ever before? I know, obviously, with the rise of social media, things are getting shared more and more, and it's making it easier for people to find these fake news websites. But is this happening more this election season than maybe last time?
You know, that's a really tough question. I always want to remind people, I don't know what I don't know. But my sense is that, yes, we are seeing more disinformation. It's certainly different. AI, however, has been gasoline on the fire. It's made content creation a lot less expensive, and it's allowed bad actors to operate more accounts. Now, those accounts aren't necessarily better at what they do. In fact, oftentimes they're worse. But there is a quality and quantity, as they say. So I do think that there is more disinformation. There's certainly more bad actors out there engaging in it, including, corporate actors now. But it's hard to say if more means worse or not just yet.
All right. Professor Darren Linvill, co-director of the Watt Family Innovation Center, Media Forensics Hub there at Clemson. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us today. We appreciate it.
Absolutely, Josh. Thanks again.